In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Papermind Passepied Hardcover Notebook. I'll go over the specs, I'll do a paper test, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this notebook coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. This is the Papermind Passepied Hardcover Notebook. Just launched this week, super excited about it. We also just introduced a Cosmo Airlight notebook as well. I'll be doing a review of this a bit later. But for today, we're doing the Passepied Hardcover Notebook. For Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout at thepapermind.com. But really excited to have these here. I'll just kind of talk about my design choices as we go through it. Again, we have the Passepied cream paper. This is the 84.3 GSM version. Tested a couple of other weights. There's a 66 GSM version, which I think is more common, but I felt that the 84.3 GSM version was really the nicest. Both are amazing with fountain pen ink, to be honest, but just writing on both sides of the sheet, I just think the extra weight of this works a little bit better. Stitched lay flat binding, so this thing lays very, very flat. It's extremely flexible. Stitched, like I said, 7mm rule with the navy version. With the light gray one, we have blank pages. Comes with a blotter sheet. Again, Japanese linen hardcover. We went with a really high quality linen, so it has great haptics. 11 signatures, so that's one less than our bank paper notebook and our blocker notebook. The reason that I did that was just to keep the size of the notebook down, keep it elegant, and keep the weight not too heavy. I want to be able to, ship this safely to you and be under 1 pound, and we're right there with this one. Being under 1 pound is important if you want to ship first class mail. That just gets it to you at the cheapest rate possible. But if you look here at the side, you'll see that this is a bit thicker than this, even with that one signature missing, and it's just because of the thickness of the hardcover. It's also a little bit wider, a little bit taller. Just the cover, the actual book block is the same A5 size that we have here, 148 by 210 millimeters. Now we have a bookmark. This is a ribbon bookmark. We tried a couple of other bookmarks. I have prototypes with satin bookmarks, which were just too stiff. This one really seemed to perform the best. It's navy blue in both the navy linen and the gray linen. It's actually the same ribbon bookmark that you get in a Midori MD notebook. We tried more, quote unquote premium ones, but this one we felt really worked the best. Okay, let's take this off here. Now on the back, we have our silver foil logo, which came out really, really nicely. And we have made in Japan because these are made in Japan. You'll notice we don't have our website on there. We couldn't go quite that small with the linen as we could with the buckram. So we just kind of eliminated that. I didn't want to make the logo too big, too intrusive. I really just want it to be a small maker's mark there. Okay, so opening up, blotter sheet. This is always a good thing to have. If you're really writing fast with a lot of ink, using one of these to just mop up the ink essentially without smearing the ink or getting it on the other page is always a nice thing to have. With this paper, because it is uncoated, you don't necessarily need to use this, but it's a nice to have. I mean, I use a rocking blotter all the time, but of course, this is not something that is portable. And this just fits perfectly into the notebook. It's cut on purpose slightly smaller than the page so it doesn't stick out or get bumped or anything like that. Now we have the same end paper that we used in the Mitsubishi Bank Paper notebook. This is a really nice quality, like art paper from Takeo. So happy to be including that here. Now we have our standard 7mm rule. This is the same rule that we got on our Mitsubishi Bank Paper notebooks. Now the paper is a cream paper, and this paper again is made by the 100-year-old Japanese paper milling company Hoku Etu Kishu. This paper was designed as a book paper. It's uncoated. It was specifically designed to have like a really nice hand so that when you're turning pages in a book, it just has a silky, silky feel. It's really very pleasant to the touch. It's also very opaque. They designed this to be a very opaque paper, which of course is important in a book because you don't want to see the text through the page and it becomes difficult to read. So that is really nice. Now, in terms of the binding here, so we have a stitched binding and it's very flexible. It lays very flat. You know, you can turn pretty much anywhere in here. As I've been doing this Papermind project, I've really learned a lot about book binding, and I've learned that kind of what makes a good journal or notebook isn't the same kind of thing necessarily that makes a fine book, which is, you know, fine books are something that I've been interested in for a long time, and I've always been kind of trying to interject those features into my notebooks. So, like for instance, on these hardcover notebooks, I really wanted to have, you know, a headband and a footband, but you'll notice they're not here. And the reason for that is they tend to get in the way of the notebook laying flat. So the option is you kind of have like a loosely, skimpy looking attached one, like we saw maybe on the semicolon notebook that I reviewed, or you omit it. And I think it's just cleaner to omit it. One of the other things that I've been interested in trying, and I'm still not 100% against it yet, is a rounded spine, which we do not have here. The reason that you want a rounded spine is for moisture. You don't want the book to warp. These books really, because they're not so big and thick, they really shouldn't have any issue with warping. But when you start having a bigger, thicker volume, that rounded spine is helpful, and you know, it looks pretty. Well, let me show you a couple of things here. So this is a notebook from a Swiss company called Hieronymus CP. CP stands for Correspondence Privé. This is the cheapest notebook that they make. This is actually a refill for a leather cover. Hieronymus customer wouldn't dare use this without a $500 leather cover. But anyway, this refill is over 80 Swiss francs. It comes with 160 pages. Now we have a rounded spine here, and we have a very nice headband, or rather that would be the foot, and this is the headband. But the problem with this, and this has a really nice binding, you know, stitched just like ours is, it doesn't want to stay open. So when I'm using this, I'm pushing down to get this to stay open. Now, I still enjoy using this, but it's really not that comfortable, especially on the edge here, to do that. Now, when you start getting into bigger books, they tend to open more on their own. Now, this book here, this is a Benjamin Franklin memoir by Arion Press here in San Francisco. Arion Press is one of the, I would say, premier fine bookmakers in the United States. They have a hot type press, so all of the printing in here is done, you know, on their lead type, and so like they will do one run of books and then melt all that type down. This type was specifically made for this book. Anyway, again, we're going to have that rounded spine with the headband, and this is a heavy book. But the weight of the book, the size of the book being bigger, it can more stay open. But just imagine still trying to write on this. It's not that comfortable. And that's really down to that headband getting in the way, the thicker paper getting in the way. This Hieronymus paper is 120 GSM. You know, you just lose a lot of comfort. And even though this is beautiful, and of course I enjoy reading this, as a notebook, I don't think I would like it. And I mean, these Arion Press books, if you want, for instance, a Bible from them, it can cost over $10,000. This is a cheaper book with a leather cover, and I think this is just under $700, this book. So I just wanted to talk a little bit briefly about my kind of attempts to elevate the notebook and why I think this is kind of the ultimate for comfortable writing, essentially. I think that this is a really nice quality cover here, and we get the maximum comfort, and we get the durability of a stitched binding, but some of those decorations, the head and footband, start to get in the way. So that's why this was designed that way. Now let's talk about the paper test here. So here we have the paper test. Now everything here looks really nice. This is a super smooth paper, and everything here looks really crisp and clean. So very happy with the front of this. Now on the back, all of the fountain pens passed with flying colors. Just really good performance. The Troublemaker pens did come through a little bit on the oil drawing pen, the Staedtler permanent marker. The Sharpie came through, as did the Copic sketch, and they came through even to the other side. But overall, performance is really good. Now I did a few more tests here, just really trying to see sheening and shading, that kind of thing. Nothing, again, bled through. Let's see if we can... There's a good amount of sheen here. I would say this is very comparable to Mitsubishi bank paper. Now, it looks, because the paper is smoother, the writing looks a little bit smoother than on Mitsubishi bank paper, but they both have really good sheen and shading. In terms of color accuracy, or just, maintaining the same color, I would say that, Cosmo Air Light, which I have here, is probably the best, and Blocker paper and Passepied Cream, I would put those as second best. Mitsubishi bank paper tends to change the color a bit more. It's never something that's bothered me, but like for instance, if we look at this Sailor Ink Studio 123, for whatever reason it comes out way more green on the Mitsubishi bank paper. But anyway, very good color performance, very good sheening, very good shading with this paper, and it's incredibly smooth. When I first tried this paper, I had thought that it was a coated paper just because it was so smooth, and it didn't bleed at all. There was no feathering or anything. It didn't act like an uncoated paper. So I was really surprised when it was uncoated. This is Italic Mont Blanc, and of course on this paper with the super wide nib like this, it is so smooth. And if we go to something finer, this Cartier Extra Fine. There's, more, it's interesting, there's more audible feedback with this paper, but it's extremely smooth. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but the sound is a bit different. Here's bank paper. This is louder. Now if we go to some Cosmo Air Light here, yeah, the Passepied to me seems to have the most maybe distinct sound, but it is so smooth and it's so nice to touch. Because this isn't like a coated paper. Here, let me go back to a wider pen here. There's not really an issue with fingerprints. I haven't had any bleeding from, my hands touching it. With coated papers, you definitely can have a fingerprint problem, but here I haven't noticed any. So what are my pros and cons for the Papermind Passepied hardcover notebook? Well, I designed this, so I like pretty much everything about it. It's really high quality, got a really nice quality Japanese linen hardcover. It lays super flat. It's a real pleasure to use, really comfortable to use, and the Passepied cream paper in here is super nice with fountain pens. It really feels special. Most smooth papers that work with fountain pens have a coating on them, and they don't have I don't know, a lot of character or personality, whereas this feels different, it feels special, but it's very, very smooth and very fountain pen friendly. So I'm really happy that I found this paper. In terms of cons, well, it comes in this navy blue and a light gray. So you only get two colors. You only get two choices for page style. If you guys like this, I definitely want to do more in the future, but for now, it is a little bit limited there. The other thing is this is a cream paper, so if you like really bright white paper, you probably won't like this as much. So that is pretty much it. Do you guys have this notebook? Do you like this notebook? Please tell me what you think about this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.